Down at the Amex on Sunday lunchtime, we have Brighton 2, Liverpool 1. Liam's beloved Brighton beating Liverpool again for the second time in, 2 weeks, Liam? How good a day was this? Was it even better than the 3-0 in the league?
Yes and no. I think any late drama, as we've seen in quite a few games, is good. There's, the ways you want to win a game ideally are really convincingly, which was more so in the Premier League fixture earlier on the season, where it was up to sort of 2-3-0 fairly sort of early, midway through the game. Liverpool definitely had a lot more control this time. They definitely improved sort of their structure defensively. They weren't sort of getting pulled apart as much in wide areas, but there was no Adam Lallana this time, and the way that Robert De Zerbi went sort of around that was he tried playing Danny Welbeck with Evan Ferguson, which is almost sort of 4-4-2. Which isn't really sort of the way that he's approached things before. And the game sort of changed really when Billy Gilmore came on, I think, and actually it looked quite defensive as a sub to bring on a midfielder, but that allowed Alexis McAllister to sort of push forward, and then you've really got Kaoru Mitoma in particular sort of higher and wider on the left, and of course he ends up scoring the winning goal, and I think his composure's incredible, but probably should have set up the winner, I think about 20 minutes before, when he had that really good outside the boot cross for Solly March, who incredible somehow shot. The shot came back off Alisson, hit him and went out for a goal kick. So I don't think Liverpool were too terrible, but that must really sort of I think be even more of a sickener. To play a bit better and then lose so late on must be quite disheartening. And it's the first time this season they'd won all 12 games when going ahead, so the first time they've really sort of capitulated, if you want to call it that.
Right, okay, it's the first time that they've been ahead in the game and not gone on to win. Crikey. Your favourite club, Daniel, your favourite player, Kaoru Mitoma.
Yeah. Mitoma corner. I mean, there's almost no point. There's nothing else to say. It's just every week. And what we did say last week is that he in the early weeks of his time in England, when he hadn't started much, he was clearly a surprise factor. Now he's not a surprise factor. He looks like a player who is a surprise factor in that when you work out what he's going to do, you can find out a way to stop him. But managers know what he's going to do now. Liverpool know what he's going to do because he tore them apart in the 3-0, and he's still the most important player against Trent Alexander-Arnold, against James Milner. It doesn't matter. He just makes defenders look silly. There was quite often on Sunday a centre half, as soon as he would get the ball, a centre half would race out to that side to try and kind of double up, and he just makes the gaps look bigger than they are by ghosting through them. I mean, the composure for that goal is just remarkable. It's not a kind of goal you really see very often.
The curious thing is that Victor Osimhen scored something really similar on Sunday night to open up the scoring in Napoli's 2-1 win over Roma. But Mitoma's, I think, was maybe better.
It makes it look like he's slowed down time for about 2 seconds, and everyone else is reacting on kind of half speed, and he's just like, yeah, you just do this. It's actually really easy. You just nick it and then kick it straight away, and the keeper won't expect it to come. It's like, why have I not seen lots of goals like that? Because it's an incredibly efficient way of shooting before the keeper's set.
Well, he flicks it up with the same boot that he then scores with, no?
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Yeah, kind of dummy shot, but with a little flick, yeah.
Wow. It's incredibly right-footed, yeah.
He is incredible to watch. I mean, obviously the jokes are, who's going to sign him for 50 million, who's going to sign him, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm going to write about this week, I think, because I've seen a lot about people sort of saying, well, what about the scouting? Why can't we buy that? Why can't... The reality is that lots of clubs have got very, very good scouting networks, of which Brighton are one. They've just got an environment in which those players thrive, and that's what other clubs don't have. And it really warms the heart until someone comes along and tells you they're going to buy your best player, whatever.
Well, yeah, although Brighton's resilience in the face of so many departures is one of the stories of the season. Mitoma has only arrived for 2.5 million, which is just extraordinary. Just extraordinary. Thursday, in fact, we were talking up Brighton as potential dark horses for this competition. But for context, Liam, since the start of this season, Seagulls have lost what? Manager, most of his backroom staff, key people in the recruitment, biggest name defender, main midfielder, top scorer as well. Who else? Yeah. Now you've got Moses Caicedo, who's out of the team and heading off to not sure where.
Yeah, we had Ben White go sort of a season ago as well. So yeah, they keep leaving and they keep joining, sort of thing. It's incredible. I don't really know if he can sustain this level of performance with so many ingoings and outgoings, but it's clearly a sustainable model. I think we're seeing that, and it's that's what Tony Bloom does. That's what he's built this whole sort of club from. I think I've seen a lot of people now retrospectively posting the stats and some of the data from when Mitoma was in Japan, and like this was good, but it wasn't maybe that niche a buy. It's maybe weird for a Western club to venture into some of those leagues. But you look at his stats when he's out in Japan, and they are top 1-2% of all players for all the underlying numbers as well as goals and assists. So these aren't hidden players. They're just clubs sometimes I guess aren't incentivized to look there because they don't always want to go direct to the place. Let Brighton buy that player, develop him for 2 seasons, then we'll take him when he's the developed article, which is fair. I don't expect Arsenal or Man City to go shopping in those leagues when other clubs will do the development for them.
Yeah, the amazing thing is not, as Liam says, the amazing thing is not that they get those players because they are a natural breeding ground. That we've seen clubs across Europe like that, Nordsjælland jump out as the obvious example, that clubs are happy to pay a premium because they've already been developed. The amazing thing is that they're 6th in the Premier League doing it because it's one thing to do that, but inevitably that gives you a natural ceiling, and Brighton don't seem to have a natural ceiling. They're better than Liverpool now. So that is the thing that blows my mind.
This wasn't a shock at all. I fully expected Brighton to win this game, and the fact that Liverpool, just a few months ago, were close to not just winning a few trophies, but footballing immortality. That's that they almost reached perfection last season, and one of the most expensively assembled teams in the world. It's remarkable, really. I mean, it also shows how far Liverpool have fallen in a few months. But I'm so glad that Brighton won this because there were two. It was all set up for everyone just be talking about the referee after the game for these 2 ridiculous moments of injustice. I don't understand how either of these decisions were made, and there will be a much bigger deal being made out of this if Mitoma hadn't scored the winner. Konate and Fabinho should both have been off the field. I just don't see. I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't see any other way that those decisions can reach those conclusions.
I think we talk about the re-refereeing that we don't want to see, and then there's that horrible grey area now, which is the overturning the referee's decision. If the referee's seen it, the VAR doesn't want to overturn, but maybe the referee thinks, well, I'll give a yellow and let VAR have a look at it. That creates a grey area in which inevitably shocking decisions happen and it completely incorrect. I mean, Fabinho almost started walking off the pitch, didn't he? He did the sorry of a red card, but not quite start walking off the pitch. But
I feel like his remorse and his apology, I don't know, did that have something to do with the decision? Because he looked so sorry. Well, if he just kind of said, "Oh, have that, mate," and then spat on the floor, I think he would have got a red card.
Yeah. His face, I think, looked a picture of someone who, as soon as he'd done it, had been reckless, and it was a really nasty tackle. I think McCoy's reaction in particular was, and this shouldn't play into it, but knowing Evan Ferguson, young, he's a teenager, he's 18, is a really horrible tackle to put on a player of that age. I know as a referee you're meant to be unbiased, it doesn't matter who it's to, but I thought in particular that was quite ugly, and I actively don't like to sort of give referees stick, because I think for the most part they're generally quite good and get often overanalyzed, but there were quite a few in this game where you think, I'm not sure about that, and I think he left the ground on crutches as well, Andy Naylor said, so obviously hopefully that's just precautionary. He'd kind of hobbled off, so yeah, fingers crossed it's not too significant. And I agree, sort of it's good having Mitoma then score the winner, because it sort of glosses over all of that and we can move past it.
The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.